Good evening or good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Regina Yao, the founder and president of the Pixel Project, and I'm moderating the 8th Google Hangout session of the 2nd annual International Women's Day edition of our Read for Pixels campaign. Through Read for Pixels, the Pixel Project is collaborating with 11 award-winning best-selling female authors to raise awareness about violence against women and to raise funds towards the Celebrity Male Role Model Pixel Reveal campaign, which aims to raise $1 million to be shared between the USA's National Coalition Against Domestic Violence and the Pixel Project to keep their efforts to end violence against women alive and kicking. We'll be telling you more about the Read for Pixels fundraiser, which has lots and lots and lots and lots of exclusive author goodies in a little while. So stay tuned to later this session, and you can find out more about the Pixel Project, violence against women, and what you can do about it by visiting www.thepixelproject.net. We have a very special guest today. It's Darynda Jones, who writes the addictive and absolutely hilarious urban fantasy and paranormal romance series, the CHARLEY DAVIDSON series. And Darynda's here today to do a reading and have a fun Q&A session with all of us. And she has also generously donated some really cool stuff to the stash of author goodies that we have up as perks for donors at the Read for Pixels Indiegogo fundraising page. And it's a chance to name a ghost in her next CHARLEY DAVIDSON book. So you can name it after yourself, after your friend, after your dog. I don't think you'll want to name it after your mortal enemy. That's like laughing. So go check it out. We'll share a slide at the end of the session. And please give generously because all funds go towards helping stop violence against women. And so now I'll hand you over to Darynda because she's got a very, very special treat for us. If you love her books, you're going to love this. So let's put Darynda on screen. Hey, Darynda, welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
All right, so what are you going to read first today?
I'm going to read the opening to The Curse of 10th Grave. It's the 10th in the CHARLEY DAVIDSON series, and it comes out June 28th. So I will read the opening for that. So nobody's heard this yet. This is brand new.
Yay! That's like the same month as my birthday. I'm going to go get that for my birthday gift.
Very cool.
I just, come on.
Very cool. Thank you.
Okay, so let's hear it.
Okay. I have to go back to the beginning. Hold on one second. I don't know where I'm at. Okay. Chapter 1. CHARLEY DAVIDSON. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's caffeine. Ignoring the dead girl standing next to me, I crossed my bare feet on the cool windowsill, took a sip of piping hot coffee, and watched the emerging sunrise from my third-story apartment window. A soft yellow scaled across the horizon and stretched its tendrils like food coloring suspended in water. Ribbons of pinks and oranges and purples quickly followed the symphony, a slow, exquisite seduction of the senses. Or it could have been if there weren't a dead girl standing next to me. She jutted out a tiny hip, anchored a fist onto it, and let loose a lengthy sigh of annoyance for my benefit. I continued to ignore her. There were few things in life more irritating than other people's children. Hell, perhaps. Been there, done that. But for the moment, the only thing complicating an otherwise serene morning was a tiny, blonde-haired, blue-eyed beast in strawberry shortcake pajamas. "Are you going to read it to me or not?" she asked, referring to our recent ventures into Harry Potter land. I stopped what I was doing, which was basically trying not to drool into my cup. As a master mixologist, I felt the need to experiment from time to time on my morning elixir to liven it up, to create new concoctions of greatness to which others could only aspire. This morning, however, I'd done good just to push the right button on Mr. Coffee. At least I think I pushed the right button. I could have started a nuclear war for all I knew. "I've already read it to you 7,843 times. She pursed her bow-like lips, causing dimples to emerge on either side of her mouth. But these weren't happy dimples. They were dimples of disappointment, dimples of frustration and irritation and fury. I hung my head in shame. Just kidding. I turned back toward the window and ignored her. You've read it twice, which is 2 times too many in my book, I said, focusing on the spectacular display before me, realizing, to the everyday passerby, my apathy toward the tiny creature might have seemed cold, aloof, cruel even. But I'd just come from an all-night stakeout that involved a woman, aka my client, who swore that her husband was sneaking out at night and meeting his personal assistant for some very personal assistance. She wanted proof. After showering, the only thing I wanted was to drink the key to life itself, enjoy the colors bursting before me, and figure out how to tell my client that her husband was not cheating on her with a personal assistant. He was cheating on her, in a sense, with the college kids that rented out their above garage apartment. He snuck out to play video games and enjoy a little plant-based medicinal stress relief. After getting to know his wife, I could hardly blame him. She turned high maintenance into an extreme sport. Now I just had to figure out how to tell her what her husband was up to. Even though there was nothing sexual about her husband's exploits, a woman like that would still feel betrayed. If, however, I could put just the right spin on it, I could lessen the sting when I gave her the news. So instead of my original plan of saying, your husband is escaping you for a few blissful hours of recreation because you are cray-cray and he needs a break, I figured I could say something like, your husband is sneaking out to tutor the struggling college kids who rent out your apartment. He counsels them on how to stay focused no matter what life throws at them or who throws it, advises them on how to shake off a bad day or a bad marriage and push through. He even cautions them about the dangers of illegal drug use. Yeah, I nodded my head, quite proud of myself. That's the ticket. By the time I was finished with her, she'd see her husband as a paladin of the pawn, a defender of the downtrodden, a savior of the suffering, a hero. I took another sip, ignored yet another sigh coming from the irreverent beast beside me, and let myself slip, just a little, just enough to see the other side, the supernatural one, because there was nothing more spectacular than watching the sunrise in the mortal world, the tangible one, from the vantage of the immortal one. One seemed to affect the other. The raging, powerful storms of the supernatural realm grew even more vibrant, even more brilliant, as though somehow our sunlight spilled into the domain of the preternatural. Made sense. Preternatural inhabitants tended to spill into our world as well on occasion. The marvel that I could shift from one realm to the other was not lost on me. For a month, I'd lived on the crux between the two worlds, having no idea I could control where I stood in each. In my own defense, I had amnesia at the time. Had no idea who I was, what I was. The fact that I was a god from another dimension who had volunteered to be the angel of death in this one, to be its grim reaper, was the furthest thing from my imaginings. And even as an amnesiac, I was pretty darned imaginative. Now that I had all my memories back, both good and bad, I saw my mission as a celestial version of the Peace Corps. Volunteer work for the good of another people and, in turn, for the good of all. That was a week ago. I'd been back in Albuquerque a week. I'd had my memories back for a week, and I still felt disoriented, unbalanced, like a weeble that wobbled but wouldn't fall down, that couldn't fall down. I had too much to do. My best friend slash receptionist, Cookie, was worried. I could tell. She put on a happy face every time I walked into her office or strolled into her apartment unannounced, an action my Uncle Bob, aka her new husband, did not appreciate. But one of the advantages, or disadvantages, depending on one's point of view, of being from the supernatural side of things was that I could feel others' emotions, and I could feel the worry that ate at her every time she looked at me. She was right. I hadn't quite been the same since I got back, but for good reason. 3 main ones anyway. First, my daughter had been taken from me when she was barely 2 days old. It was for the best. To keep her safe, we had no choice but to send her away, but that didn't make it any easier. Probably because the fault lay at my feet and my feet alone. I was apparently made of this bright-ass light that lured the departed, those who did not cross when they died, to me. Cool beans, right? I'd always considered the light a pretty nifty side of being grim. But that was before I had a child who was destined to defeat Satan and save the world. Now, that same light worked only to lead our vast and powerful enemies straight to me, and in turn, straight to my daughter. I will stop there.
Oh, that is cool. So we're seeing Charlie after she gets the memories back. So are we gonna see? Are we gonna read the bits where find out what happened to her when she couldn't remember anybody?
Yes, yes. That is in 9th grade.
I thought it ended with her like behind a restaurant with the dog looking at her.
That's 8th grade, yeah.
Oh,
so 9th grade is in between, and it came out in January, and so 10th grade is the continuation of that. So I just gave you a big spoiler to let you know that yes, she's good now. She's cool.
Oh, no,
she's got her memory back.
I thought 8 was 9.
Oh, no, that's okay. That is okay. Yeah. No, 9th came out January, and I love 9th. I'm going to tell you why I love 9th. I love 9th because, and it was my idea, I came up with 9th way back before I even started writing the 6th in the series. And I loved it because I knew that Charlie was going to get to fall in love with Reyes all over again. That's my whole reason for writing that book. So that was the fun part. She gets to fall in love all over again because she doesn't know who he is. She just knows he's, really hot and dangerous and dark and mysterious, and so it's fun.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the discussion now, and welcome everybody who's just joined us. If you just joined us, if you look to the right of the screen, you'll see like a sidebar, and it says, it's for you to type in your questions. So if you have any questions, you can type it in, click submit, and I'll read it out to Darynda, and Darynda will answer them, and we'll answer questions along the way as we discuss Darynda's books and violence against women and pop culture and stuff. So get busy asking, because this is your chance to ask Darynda, and you could actually put her in the spot.
Probably quite easily.
Yesterday we had Nalini sing. Do you know Nalini?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've met her just kind of in passing. I love her. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. She's amazing.
And yesterday someone asked her a question, and she writes so many books, and she was like, I need to get back to you about that.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah.
It's like the mythology is just so huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with the easy questions. Okay, so Charlie and Cookie are a dynamic duo who are tough, resilient, determined, and funny as heck. So who are or were the inspirations for Charlie and Cookie?
Cookie, definitely. I had a lot of inspirations for Cookie. She was, I actually used to know a lady a long time ago in Albuquerque, and her name was Cookie. I totally stole it, and I lost contact with her a long time ago, but I just think she's the neatest person. I can't even remember her last name. I can't remember. It's horrible. I'm horrible with names. And she left such an impression on me. She's just, and she had like the black hair, and she was just such a wonderful, like you looked at her and her personality just shined through. I just absolutely loved her. And so that is very much Cookie. And she's also a lot of another friend of mine. A lot of her antics come from different friends, but a lot of them come from a friend of mine named Danielle. And so, and then Charlie, it's just weird. I was very purposely trying to come up with a character. I was laying in bed one morning, and I was like, okay, I want to write paranormal. I want to write adult. I was, thinking about what I wanted to write next. And all of a sudden, Charlie just kind of popped into my head in all her glory. Like literally, she was just there. And looking back, you know, I could say I could see influence from different characters. Like I think she has a little bit of Buffy. I like to think she has a little bit of Buffy. Huge Buffy fan. She's got a little bit of I would say a little bit of Stephanie Plum from Janet Ivanovich's Stephanie Plum. And then she has a great deal of Lorelai Gilmore from the Gilmore Girls. I love the Gilmore Girls. There's just that really fast banter back and forth. And I thought, oh, that's so cool. I would love to write that. I didn't purposely do that. But, you know, looking back, whenever you're thinking about where did she come from, I would say those were probably my main influences. But yeah.
Yeah, Buffy's so cool. And she goes
Awesome.
into Buffy mode when she sort of sneaks around.
Yeah.
You know, funny with Buffy, like Reyes is a tiny bit like Giles.
Yeah?
Because he's always like, oh, you can't do this because.
That's true. Absolutely. You're right. I never thought of that, but you're right.
And then Charlie goes and goes off and does it anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the Scooby Gang is like Cookie and the whole butt gang.
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, but Lorelai's just, Chanel McLaughlin just asked the question. She's asking the question I'm just about to ask you. Hi, Chanel. Thanks.
Hi, Chanel.
They're going to be laughing a lot, I think, this session. She says, are you going to watch the Gilmore Girls reboot when it comes out?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I'm so excited. You have no idea. Yes, that's a big yes.
Okay, so that's going to come on Netflix soon, right? Like a few months?
I would think so. Netflix is doing some incredible stuff. They're bringing back some incredible stuff, and their original stuff is amazing. I'm surprised and impressed. I think they're doing a really good job. So I'm very excited about it.
Oh yeah, and like they're doing like a really great job with the Marvel properties that they do. Like I'm actually halfway binging on Daredevil 2.
Oh, see, and I haven't started yet because I had too much to do. I was like, oh, I can't start it yet. I can't start it till next week, and I'm not kidding. It's killing me. It's killing me.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but let's just say that even though I'm so busy, like that's why I look so sleepy today. I'm like halfway through it. It's like, is it even possible for it to be better than the first season? The answer is yes.
Oh, very cool. I'm so excited.
Yeah. And of course, they did Jessica Jones, and Jessica Jones is actually a really, really good portrayal of a rape and abuse survivor who is dealing with the aftermath with PTSD. And if you haven't watched it, I would recommend that you watch it. And Chanel and everyone who's watching, I recommend that you guys watch it too, because it's a great. It's painful watching sometimes. It's really heart-wrenching, and it's not pretty. But a lot of survivors and a lot of activists recommend it because this is probably one of the very rare times, and maybe even the first time that someone's actually made a superhero series, no less, about who the main protagonist being a woman who is still recovering from rape and abuse, and who's trying to do something about it and take her abuser down, because he is a total psychopath. So be prepared to go. So it's very different than Daredevil. Like Daredevil, like it's more clear cut. It's like these are the bad guys, and we're just gonna beat the crap out of them. But Jessica goes a lot into. Pardon me. Sorry, guys, I've got a cold. It goes a lot into how she feels and how she sees the world and what she's thinking, and it's very, very different from the whole Matt Murdock angst.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yes. Very.
Anyway, back to Charlie and Cookie and Reyes. And Reyes, the Sammy Giles. So for all your female characters, so there's also Cookie's daughter. I think her name's Amber. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I remembered it. Yeah.
Yes.
Amber. All the different like women that you portray in the series and in your YA books. Do you? It just seems like you either like consciously create them like Charlie, or they sort of come to you because you've got sort of you meet people who inspire you. So have you ever, when writing a character, still add stuff that you think that they need, like to get like a particular message across about women's empowerment or issues that you care about, you know? So do you do that, or do you just let the characters develop organically?
That's such a huge part of me, and so it's organic, but it's definitely from the way I believe and the way I think, and the way I believe women should be treated, and so it is organic. I don't purposely try. I try very hard to actually not to preach, but things do come out sometimes, and I do worry that I'm getting a little preachy here or something. But yeah, I mean, it's so important, and so it just kind of comes out.
Yeah, because we were wondering if like we were talking about Reyes just not being so serious and all that you like consciously set him up as like the straight guy for Charlie's foil, because Charlie is feminist. She doesn't say she's feminist, but everything she does points to it. I mean, Reyes says no, don't do that, and she just goes, yeah, see you later, and just gonna do that. And do you like consciously set both of them up as foils for each other?
I don't know. I never thought about it. I don't think I did that consciously, apparently, if I never thought about it. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted Reyes to be pretty much her opposite, so he's the real straight, the serious, you can't do this. And she's just off in La La Land doing whatever she wants. So I think that's fun to have that juxtaposition of the two characters and that struggle, and yeah.
Yeah, it's like we were chatting, before we went on air. It's like, he's so serious, it's just so tempting. And if I ever met someone like it, it's just so tempting to just like wind him up.
Yes, exactly. I think Charlie really likes to do that.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh yeah, see ya, Mayanya, and then she goes off and she gets into just about the exact trouble that he figured out. But she always
Yeah,
of it.
she does.
It's really cool because she and Cookie actually met. They actually they run their own detective agency and they actually solve cases. Even though Reyes keeps going, it's so dangerous. But the way that they get out of scrapes, it's just so. I don't know how you do it. It's hilarious.
Well, thank you. Thank you. A lot of times what I do is I paint them into a corner.
Yep.
I put them there where I have no idea how they're getting out of it. And so, that's when Charlie and Cookie have to be really clever and come up with some ingenious way of getting out of this corner I've painted them into. So it's fun whenever I don't even know. And then whenever it comes up, I'm like, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to get out of this? And she always does.
Okay, so the next question, and guys, just keep typing in your questions. Darynda will keep answering them. We have about half an hour left. So during your Ask Me Anything session on our fantasy on Reddit, which you did with us as well, you mentioned that one of your readers alerted you to the fact that the female protagonist in one of your books seemed awfully like a battered spouse. And you took the feedback to heart, which is great. You stepped back and you looked carefully at what you were putting on the page because you wouldn't want to promote anything of that kind through your stories. Now, that was interesting when I read your response, because Joe Hill, we had Joe Hill on a couple of years ago, and
awesome.
Yeah, he is awesome. He's really like he's really cool. Anyway, he's a feminist, which is super cool. And he said that one way that authors can help stop violence against women in their cultures and communities is by telling the right stories. So in your opinion, how can authors strike a balance in their storytelling between raising awareness about sexism and gender-based violence, and telling an engaging story without being pedantic or preachy? Because you mentioned earlier that you worry sometimes that you end up being preachy. So
Yeah.
what's the process for balancing both factors?
For me, again, it's just showing your female characters as being strong, as reacting negatively to any kind of abuse in that situation. You know, I've had where Charlie helps abused women, and women who are in domestic violence situations. So yeah, to me, it's more like a show don't tell, you know, and lead by example. So show that your characters are strong, and they just make the right choices and do the right things. Yeah, and that one comment that I got, it was actually a review, and it really made me think about, again, what I was putting on the page. And the thing is that I write in the paranormal world, and a lot of times in the paranormal world, we don't think that the same rules apply because, you know, they're a little different. You know, the men are super alpha most of the time and that sort of thing. And but also in almost everything I've ever read, the women are just as alpha. I mean, they give as good as they get. And so a lot of times I kind of take advantage of that, in that I just, you know, like I let Reyes get away with stuff, maybe that in our world I would never let any guy get away with. So, but yeah, I did. I had to think about that, step back, and decide what I wanted to portray and what I wanted to put out there. So it really made me think, and I appreciated that review. It was a negative review. She hated the book, but that was okay. It really it helped me decide, you know, what do I really want to put out there, and what do I really want to say. And I think leading by example without being preachy, just showing your characters being strong and surviving, and saying, no, you know, that's not okay. It's not okay. And again, in that same interview, I was talking how, to me, it's a basic human right. That to feel safety, it's a human rights issue. And if women don't feel safe, then you're violating their human right to that basic, you know, that basic necessity. So again, just to lead by example.
Yeah, and the one thing that struck me about Reyes and Charlie's relationship is that Charlie very rarely felt, even though he's this big, alpha, scary, dark male,
Right.
she doesn't seem to feel any fear of him. She gives as good as she gets, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you want to tell me to do something? I'm gonna go up and do my own stuff." Or, you know, if he tries to control in any way, she's not having it.
Right.
Just
Right.
she's just, you know, she's so funny, and you think she's so sweet and so funny, but like inside us, like a core of steel. It's like, I'm gonna do what's right. And what struck me by Charlie is that she doesn't have any angst over doing the right thing. She sees the situation and she helps, and she does. And if the situation changes, she changes it according to doing the decent thing. And it's so refreshing to actually read a character who is bright and who is cheerful and who's dealing, even though she's dealing with a lot of dark stuff, and she always seems to do the right thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and she doesn't have any, that's the thing, she doesn't have any dilemmas or angst about it.
Yes. And that was very much a conscious decision. When I very first came up with her, that was very much, I thought, you know what, so many characters are, you know, they're whiny. Oh, I have this power and I have to deal with this dead person and I have to whatever, you know. And I was like, no, no whinies, no whining. No, she does what she has to do and she goes on with her life, you know, and that's just the way she is. And I love that about her. And you can try to knock her down, and she's like, okay, that's fine. But she comes right back with a lot worse than you gave her. So I love writing her. You could probably tell.
And she is so funny because like she sneaks in through the property of the biker gang. Like she has to crawl in, and turns out that they were all letting her crawl in because they were finding it amusing. And I just find it so amusing that she you know, even these big alpha males just find her so engaging, and they don't cross her. They try, but they always end up worse for wear after pulling one on her. All right, so Chanel has another question. Oh, I want to know this one too. Oh, Chanel keep asking those, so I don't need to answer my question. Chanel says, where do you get the quotes for the beginning of each chapter? A lot of them are funny, but also inspirational.
Awesome, thank you. Actually, I saved those, and I used to save those for years. I've been saving like inspirational quotes or funny things that I just think little, and they're real quotes for the most part. I probably make up one or two per book, maybe, are mine. But they're real quotes out there. T-shirts and bumper stickers and memes. Now we have all these memes, and yeah. So I used to save them, and when I was writing First Grave, I wanted something at the beginning of each chapter that kind of like gave you a little bit of the flavor of where the direction of that chapter was going to go. And I thought, well, I'm just going to put those quotes because I love them. They're funny. So I put them on there, and I didn't even know if I could at first. I thought that's probably illegal because I'm like, you know, they're really out there. They're on T-shirts. Well, I had to do a lot of research. I found out that it's perfectly legal. You can do that. And so yeah, that's where they come from. And now I don't even look for them. So many people, I have so many amazing readers. They're so fantastic. And they send them to me. They'll like send them to me on Facebook, or they'll email me or whatever. And they know, it's like readers know me so well. They're like, this is Charlie. They know Charlie, I should say, not me. They know Charlie so well. They're like, this is so Charlie. And I'm like, oh my God, it is. It's perfect. So I have 100 saved, hundreds.
I actually thought, oh, maybe I should get a T-shirt made of this. Oh, it's really great to know that they're on T-shirts. And whenever I read Charlie, I always think of this quote, which is, whatever doesn't kill me had better start running.
That one's fantastic, yeah.
It's like, whatever doesn't kill me, ... had better start running. And I'm like, that is true. That is so true. Yes, and Kyla Dent had a response to our what we're chatting about, just about the no whining thing. and Kyla says, or Kayla, sorry if I mispronounce your name. She says, thank you for no whining.
You are welcome. I love it. I'm not into whining. I can't stand it.
It's like Lorelai Gilmore, right? Lorelai does have she has some moments where she's like down and she's like, oh, I'm just gonna roll around and wallow a little bit. In general, she doesn't whine. She kind of just soldiers on with whatever she needs to do, and she makes the funniest faces.
She's amazing. I love her. I love her. And the writer, Amy Sherman Paladin, I think is her name. Yeah, I saw an interview with her, and wow. I mean, you just talk about strong female role models. Both the Lorelai Gilmores are just so amazing. I love what she did with that. She's an amazing writer. Very cool.
And you know, you mentioned the term strong female characters and strong women, and some writers are actually pushing back against the strong female character thing, not because they disagree with writing great female characters, but because they say that it seems the word strong seems to make it seem so one-dimensional. It's like implying that strong female characters should be able to kick ass literally. But What do you think? Do you think what do you think of that term, and do you think there's something else you could use to describe well-rounded female characters?
Well, if you're just talking about the term, it would totally depend on, yeah, your take on it. There's nothing one-dimensional about any strong female on the planet. You know, we all know that women are just so multi-layered, and strength is only one of our assets. So, but I guess I use strong when I'm describing her. I don't really know. You know, it's really funny because I don't really think of Charlie as strong when I'm writing her or anything. She's just Charlie. She's just this person who goes out and she does what she has to do. That's the way I think of her. She does whatever it takes to get the job done. She does it. She does what she has to do. So, yeah, I can understand that because a lot of times, you know, the industry, the publishing, and the genre gets, you know, just inundated and flooded with all of this certain kind of character. And to me, that's our jobs as writers, is to go so very far beyond that and give somebody that's just has a lot of layers and very dynamic and just to push every convention that we can. Push those boundaries and just show what we're capable of.
So speaking of conventions, now if we look at the romance genre side of things, so what do you think about romances, you know, whether adult or YA romances, such as Twilight, 50 Shades of Grey, which they continue to perpetuate the myth that stalking and abusive behavior is quote unquote romantic. I mean, what do you think of those books?
Right. You know, it's funny because when I first read Twilight, I'm a huge Twilight fan, by the way. I'm just going to say that right out there. And when I first read it, I loved the book. And I read it 2 times. I wrote it, I didn't write it. I read it when it very first came out. And then people started saying these things, you know, like, oh, he's stalking her and all this stuff. And I can see that to a degree because, again, I think in the paranormal world, we see things a little differently, and we feel like the same rules don't apply all the time, and they often don't. You know, it's a much more violent world than reality, than what we live in. But so I didn't see that at first, and bizarrely enough, about a month ago, I had decided to reread Twilight because I thought I'm going to reread it. And everything, because I was just this staunch, you're wrong, she doesn't do that, and this doesn't happen. Wow, it does happen. Everything everybody said happens. I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I was a little, I don't know, I didn't know what to think after that. I was a little taken aback because I guess I didn't see it when I first read it. But I still think, again, that you do have those, it's like the rules of the paranormal world, but then you're talking about a human girl, and a human girl that was being, you know, basically stalked or whatever. Yeah, I found it interesting. It was eye-opening this last time I read it.
Yeah.
I would say I can see what everybody's saying. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, maybe I should step back a little bit.
And yesterday, Nalini Singh, who we had on Google Hangout, she said that one interesting thing that she said, and I think you probably agree with this. I think is that she said that these books are published, and there are all these books out there. She doesn't agree with trying to control what people read, but what she thinks would be really useful, something that these books serve, is to start conversations about the topic, the issue. And the important thing about books like this is if we can use them to start conversations and then start talking to readers, like your book club or your friends or kids, about, you know, what's happening in the book. And maybe, just maybe, you know, someone might think, oh, okay, so this is a story, and this is just a jumping off point, a teachable moment for for people in your community. If they love this book,
Absolutely.
fine, but they also need to be aware of the issues that are in it. So that's what
Absolutely.
her take on it was.
Absolutely. And see, yeah, Nalini. Oh my God, she's so smart. Yeah, that is such a great way of thinking about it, and almost like a teaching tool. Yeah,
Yeah,
very cool.
it's like hold it and say, this is not what a healthy relationship is supposed to look like, and then, but it's okay if you read it because it's great to see kids reading because it's basically YA.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so woo, two more questions. I think we're probably gonna go over the time, but if you're okay with it, we'll just
absolutely.
okay. So Kayla also says, following her thing about yay, no whiny women, is so many female characters are made to be whiny. You empower women and show that women can think around problems without complaining, and you're amazing for it. Chanel and I love you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That's so sweet.
Okay, and that's done. And Chanel says, "Oh gosh, it's just the two of you. Everyone else asks questions too." Okay, Chanel says, how did you set the tone of voice for Charlie? She's so down to earth and sometimes almost street with her language.
That's a good question. I don't know. It's one of those things that I was early on. So I've been writing forever, like
Mhm.
literally since I was like 5 years old, writing stories and doing all this stuff. And then I started writing seriously, like toward publication. And that's one of the things that people talked about was voice, your voice and get your voice down. I'm like, oh, I don't have a voice. What are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking. I just write. Um, but I will say that Charlie really has developed. The first book was a little harder for me to just really pin down who she was and what her voice was and how she was going to come across. And I don't think I did a wonderful job of that. I think I went back. I don't read anything once it's published. I know that sounds horrible, but all I read is mistakes, and so I can't go back and reread my work. It's horrible, I know. But I went back and reread a little bit of First Grave, and I thought that wasn't that was really mean. That wasn't even like that was just mean. I felt like Charlie was mean in parts of it, and so which was never my intention. So it did take a while for me to develop that and to develop her voice and who she was. And now, seriously, I start writing and she just comes through. I don't even, it's effortless. She just is who she is. So, and I'm not even anything like her. I don't think she's funny. I'm not even funny. I'm not funny. If you ever talk to me in person, you're going to be so disappointed. Really, you're going to be disappointed. You're like, what? You're supposed to be funny. No, I'm not.
What I like about Charlie is that she names everything.
It's funny because that started with her Jeep. It started with Misery.
Yeah.
And then I don't know why, just out of the blue, I just had her name the girls, and then it just developed from there. I don't know.
I'm like, oh no, what's she gonna name again? All right, so we talked about the romance side of your books because your books are essentially mashups between paranormal slash supernatural and romance. So let's go to like the urban fantasy side of things, the fantasy side of things, and geek culture in general, including science fiction and fantasy, has had its share of critics saying that it's still too male-dominated, despite a rising number of prominent, well-respected, and well-known female authors. So what do you think needs to be done to make geek culture as a whole, whether it's books or comics or gaming and whatever genre comes under it, more welcoming for women and girls?
Um, Again, it is the culture. The culture is what it is. I think that's across the board, that it's much more, all literature is more represented by males than females. But you know what? We're coming into our own, and I think that we're getting there. And just to keep going, keep writing, keep going, keep pushing those boundaries and putting out really strong, I'm going to use the word strong again, really strong role models for girls, you know, and just keep going. And you know, so many books, the female characters are just as good. Well, that's almost silly for me to say. I think they're so much better than a lot of the male characters. You know, like, oh my gosh, yeah. And again, even like the film industry, because the film industry, like, they've pushed the Marvel characters. They've done such a good job. I love Marvel, don't get me wrong, but it's just male dominated. So to me, just us women sticking together and doing the best we can, putting out the best work we can, and just showing the guys what we got.
And speaking of Marvel, it's like, you know, that I think have you seen the kerfuffle that's been going on for the last like 18 months to 2 years? Like, people are asking, where's the Black Widow figure? Because you know, they release those action figures, and then everyone from, you know, the normal, you know, the Marvel fan right up to, you know, Mark Ruffalo, who plays the Hulk, and he has 3 girls. Apparently, he has 3 daughters, and everyone's going, where is Black Widow? Where, you know, she's not in the sets. It's very difficult to find her. And then they had and then it was like a repeat thing with Star Wars: The Force Awakens, where everyone's looking for Rey, but she's not in the sets. And there was like this big hoo-ha, and then J.J. Abrams had to weigh in and say, where is Rey? And there's this whole hashtag thing. And hopefully, slowly, the industry is getting the message.
Yes, I hope so too, because it's ridiculous if they honestly think that, oh, maybe they think that the women, their little action figures won't sell as much. And they're so wrong. They're just dead wrong. But it's their own fear. To me, it's their fear that, oh, well, it's not going to do as well. There's, oh, well, we just want the guys because it's the guys who buy these or whatever. They're wrong. And one of these days they'll figure out that they're wrong, and they'll get the message and start doing the right thing, hopefully.
I actually, it sounds a bit harsh, but my reaction was to the where's Ray thing is, what, are they blind? Do they not see? Oh, there's another hashtag called Tiny Ray, and Daisy Ridley started that because she got off, I think she was on a press junket for Force Awakens, so she got off the plane, and who was waiting for there but a 5-year-old girl dressed as Ray, and she took a picture and put it out. It's so cute. And she took a picture, she put it on Instagram, and the best part is the tiny girl is Asian, like me. So they both smiling out because she had a crush on, because it's the little girl, and they took a picture and posted it on Instagram and Facebook, and she coined the hashtag Tiny Ray. And you know what? And there's so many little girls around dressed as Ray. It's a great costume. It's not sexualized. It's comfy. It's got, you don't run around in heels. Ray wears flat boots. and it's just a wrap, a nice, comfy, like karate, you know, Asian style wrap. And you know, you think, are these people in the industry making toys and movies, are they blind? Do they not see all these kids, girls and boys, like wanting these toys and wanting these characters and dressing up as them, and they're the ones whose parents are buying the movie tickets, they're buying the books, they're buying comics for them.
Exactly.
And you know, moving on from that, I did talk about another aspect of sexism is the whole idea that women can't be funny. But obviously, the Charlie Davidson series belies that Charlie and Cookie are some of the most hilarious people. And the Gilmore Girls. So, I mean, what do you think about the whole thing about women being unable to write funny stuff?
Well, that is just beyond ridiculous, because the funniest comedians on the planet are women, you know. I think that maybe the people who are saying that are the guys who like only listen to male comics. I don't know, but it's just ridiculous. And you know, there could be a bit of a different kind of humor, you know, it was all men comedy was about women and how, oh, they had to put up with us and this and, and all that stuff. I'll never forget, I went to see Eddie Murphy's, he had a movie out, but all it was his stand-up comic. It was like, started with a D. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, I remember, this was a long time ago, and I remember how amazingly offended I was. Because, all he kept talking about through this whole thing, it was supposed to be funny, about how all women are after was his money. That's all they wanted was his money. And so he'd get married and have to give him half. Then he'd marry somebody else and have to give her half. And he was so down on women. And it wasn't even funny. Like his show wasn't even funny. And I thought, why are you even, it was his rant on women. It wasn't even, it was just his rant. He was making a statement and he wanted everybody to hear it. And so I think that part of it is that perhaps we have a bit of a different sense of humor. It's kind of like comparing American to British sense of humor. There's that slight difference in the target audience about what to expect and everything. And so that maybe that's it. And maybe the people who are saying that are men, because women don't say that. We know we're funny.
Yeah.
We have no problem.
It's like there's this old movie called While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock in it. And the funniest person in that movie is the grandma, because she always makes the most inappropriate comment at the most inappropriate time, even though it's true. But it's all about timing. And Betty White is so funny.
Love her. I love her. I adore that woman. She's hilarious.
I think she's at an age. She's gotten to an age where she doesn't care. She just says what's on her mind.
Exactly.
And it's so funny. So speaking of funny and funny women, Chanel's asking, Chanel, thank you. You're asking all the asking all the questions that we were going to ask. So Chanel says, have you seen the new Ghostbusters trailer and how all the characters are women this time round?
Yes, I saw the trailer. I thought it was hilarious.
I just thought, it's just like, this is going to be so fun. This is going to be, this is coming out in July. It's going to be a great summer movie.
Yes.
And the best thing of all is you can take kids to see it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it looks hilarious. And I just thought it was brilliant to turn that. And then the secretary guy, so he's the guy, and they're all women. I was just like, oh my God, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Secretary is Chris Hemsworth. That's the funny part. It's like,
of all men, yeah.
He played Thor, right? And that's like a big Nordic beefcake type character who's very alpha. Very, very, laddish, as the British would say. Drinks a lot, womanizers, blah, blah, blah. And then in the new Ghostbusters, he's a secretary. So it's like, I wonder how you're going to pull that off.
I think it's going to be awesome. I'm so excited to see that. I am. And I can't remember. So one of the funniest women on the planet to me is Melissa McCarthy. Is she in that? I can't remember.
She is.
She was.
She's one of the Ghostbusters.
Yes.
And one thing that we noticed is a couple of things. When the trailer dropped, and Sony Pictures put it on their YouTube channel, and you would not believe the amount of sexist, misogynist bile that the fanboys are spewing. Like, some of them even proudly declared that they created, sorry, I'm just so outraged, that they created extra YouTube accounts just to vote it down. So right now, if you go to the actual page with the trailer on it, there's like free downvotes to every upvote. And it's all these fanboys, and people say, oh, they're just doing the usual fanboy grumbling and stuff. No, they're not. They're calling like Leslie Jones a gorilla. They're like calling Paul Feig feminazi. They're like there are like countless things about vaginas and stuff, and it's sexist. It's
Completely.
these people. I mean, do they? I mean, my other reaction is, really, you had that much time to do stuff like this? Really?
Exactly. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
Chanel has a response to you saying Melissa McCarthy is funny, and she says, yes, she is.
She's awesome. I will say also that, when I was talking about Cookie
Mhm.
and my influence, in looking back, I would say if Charlie was Lorelai Gilmore, I think Cookie is Suki from the Gilmore Girls. I love Melissa. I see Melissa in my head when I write Cookie. So I didn't do that on purpose. It just kind of happened, but that she's who I see. I see her as Cookie. I just think she's so awesome.
And talking about the Ghostbusters trailer, the best. I liked all the characters, but the one that stuck out was Holtzman, and she's got this messy blonde hair and these goggles, and she's running around in her jumpsuit, her Ghostbusters jumpsuit, and she's supposed to be like a nuclear and mechanical engineering genius. And what Kate McKinnon said in an interview that came out recently is that she loves the Ghostbusters costume because it covers me up. I'm not running around in
Right? Yes.
and she said, girls can see that we can be engineers and we can be scientists and we can be smart and
Exactly. And one of the things that Melissa said in an interview was like, all these fanboys making all of these lewd, rude comments. Again, it's just fear. It's just little boys that haven't partly haven't grown up, but also, part of like, look at the women in your life. Do you not want those women to be uplifted and to be rejoiced for what they accomplish? And would you say something like that to your daughter or to your sister or to your mother? It's like they don't think of it that way. They don't think of that's something different. No, it's not. You're still talking about women, and just to, and Melissa was saying that she said that this man came up to her and was saying how horrible she looked in Spy, and and she just asked him. She said, "Well, if one of the guys like Jason Statham, if he had dressed up and looked horrible on purpose, would you have gone up to him and said that?" And the man was very honest, and he said, "Well, no, I probably wouldn't." She said, "Well, then why do I have to look a certain way to meet your approval?" Those were not her words, but just to, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. That whole, why men think that they have the right to do that, I don't know. It's just bizarre.
it's just it's if a male actor did that, right, they'll say, oh, he's a character actor, he's just getting in the character. And
Exactly.
acting is a craft, just as writing books is an art and craft.
Absolutely.
All these arts across pop culture, gaming, everything, these are art, and women have the right to make art that reflects their experiences. And hey, we can be funny too, right? Because we are funny.
Clearly we are.
So we're talking about pop culture now, and we're seeing what someone on Tumblr coined the Hermione effect in pop culture, where we're seeing more and more complex and capable female protagonists with agency in YA books in particular, like obviously Hermione and Katniss, and
Exactly.
and you write YA too. So do you think this is a trend or a bellwether of change that's coming in slowly but will be permanent?
Absolutely, I do. Yes, absolutely. I think that we can only go up, and the more ground we gain, we'll hold it. And absolutely, I think that it's going to be much better for our daughters.
Oh, it'll be great, I think. Going back to Ghostbusters, actually going to take my small niece to go watch it. And I created a hashtag for it, Raising Tiny Feminists.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so it's like now friends with daughters and stuff, they're all doing the whole Raising Tiny Feminists hashtag. And we have to do it. And the same with boys, right? So you have two sons, the Mighty Jones boy.
The Mighty Jones voice, yes.
And that takes us on to the next question, which is, parents are usually the most influential role models in a person's life. As a mom to two boys, what do you think parents can do to help prevent violence against women and girls in the future generations, and to get boys involved in helping to do so?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just a matter of raising them to respect, other people, period. Male or female, to not look down, and obviously to be a good role model to them, but to teach them that, don't ever think that you have the right to hit. I used to teach my boys, and I would sit them down and tell them, nobody has the right to hit you. Nobody has the right to touch you in any way that you don't want them to. Just letting them know. And on the same, on the other side of the coin is, you also don't have the right to hit anybody. You don't have the right to touch anybody in a way that they don't want you to touch them. And to me, it's just being really positive about it, and showing them, I've been married for 32 years now, 32 years. And so, my husband and I are a very good example of just treating each other with respect. And, we don't talk down to one another. We don't. So many people, I freak out at how, and this is going to sound awful, I freak out at how couples talk to each other. I'm like, oh my God, do you do that at home, or is this just like a public thing? Like, why would you say that to your wife in public? Why would you ever say that to your wife? I just freak out at people. So again, it's just showing them to respect everybody. Everybody has the right. Again, it's the basic human rights, and just being positive with them, and teaching them actively. Not just hoping they get it, but having talks with them and teaching them, to do the right thing.
So I guess your boys are all grown up now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are 27 and 22.
Yeah, no, Rick Yancey. We had Rick Yancey on last year, and we had Ted Williams, and they both have sons and daughters too. And they were talking about the same thing you were talking about, and they said that especially with their sons, they're very careful. They said that kids learn by osmosis, and they're very careful, to they and their wives. Each of them are married, and they and their wife are very careful to role model good relationships and treating each other with respect, the same way you and your husband do. Because as Rick pointed out, especially when they're very young, they see everything and they're just absorbing everything, and you could set patterns very early in life without even meaning to. So it's not a case of do as I say, not as I do, but walking the walk. And and it's really striking the way so many authors we've interviewed, including you, have said the same thing, that it is showing the kids a good example of what functional, healthy relationships look like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to wrap up soon. So Chanel and everyone else out there, if you've got any more questions, you better type them in now so I can read them out to before we wrap up. And anyway, so going to the last two questions that we have. You have been so incredibly supportive of our Read for Pixels campaign and our anti-violence against women work as a whole. So why do you support the cause to end violence against women? This is a very general question. Just wanted to know.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I think it's just a basic human right that women should not ever have to live in fear, that they shouldn't worry about you know, are they going to get hit? Are they going to live through the day, you know, or, and women should never be controlled. You know, I hate that. You know, it's not just violence to me. It's not just physical. It's just as much mental and control and verbal abuse and that kind of thing. It's just not okay. It's not okay. And women just need to know that there's help out there, that they can change things, that they do have power. They're powerful. They're strong. They do have power to change things. And until they seek that help and, you know, even try to figure out how they got into that relationship in the first place, you know, and how to get out of it, how to break that cycle that a lot of women get into, you know, just know that there's help out there. I just think it's so important.
Yeah, and it is a cycle, and it's you know, domestic violence is one form of violence against women that very clearly shows a cycle, because it can go down through generations.
Yes.
Because the younger generation watches the way the older generation behave, and then the thing is, you think it's normal. You think it's normal. So the girls think it's normal to be demeaned and beaten and whatever. The boys think it's normal to disrespect women, and then the cycle continues. It keeps continuing, and it sometimes takes many generations before you break it. And sometimes you don't, you know, because it's so normalized to you, you don't even think about it. But hopefully, if you're listening to this, if you're listening and watching this Google Hangout with Darynda and us, that maybe have, you know, if you've had a gut feeling, because a lot of this comes from gut feelings that you just have down. So if you have a gut feeling that maybe this isn't the right way for me to be treated, step back, like mentally take a mental step back and look at what's been happening in your relationship for the last how many months or how many years you've been in it, and how many times you felt disrespected or felt controlled, but you swallowed your feelings. It's not easy. Not everyone can do it, because everyone gets out of abuse in a different way. But just know this, and what Darynda said, there is help out there. That there are people in your community who will help you, and things are changing now. You know, it used to be, I think, Darynda, you've probably seen this as well. It used to be that people say that it's their business, it's private business, it's not ours. But now people are picking up the phone and dialing 911. People are knocking on the door, ringing the doorbells to interrupt stuff. So if you're listening to this, everybody, please, you know, if you know someone who's in a bad relationship, please, you know, make sure that they know that there's help out there. Now, there's 2 more questions from the audience. Chanel says, is 10th on track? Can we expect surprises? I'm so excited.
Oh. Thank you. 10th is on track. I just got the copy edits back. So we're good to go. It's a done deal. And I think you are going to find a lot of surprises. I threw in a lot in this book. And so there's a lot of development. We learn a lot more about Reyes and that whole thing that I left you with at the end of 9th grade. That so yeah, I think you'll be pleased. I hope. I'm hoping.
Okay, and Kayla says, are they going to option your books for a movie or show?
They, you know, it's really funny because before First Grade even came out, it's sold to CBS.
Oh.
And yeah, CBS had it for about 3 years. And then they never did anything with it, which is quite typical, actually. And then Warner Brothers bought it. So then Warner Brothers had it for a year and a half, 2 years, and they never did anything with it. So I don't know if Warner Brothers actually still has the rights right now. I would have to look at my contract. It's somewhere in all that. But, you know, people are interested. Networks are interested. So hopefully, again, keeping fingers crossed, hopefully they'll do something with it someday. I hope so.
Oh, and Chanel says about ninth grade. She goes, "Yeah, giant cliffhanger, haha."
Yeah, I'm kind of getting known for that. I will say it's all explained. It's all explained in 10th.
Yeah, and well, maybe Netflix will even pick it up because I think it would be so cool if Netflix did like 13 episodes.
Yes, it would be awesome. I would be thrilled. I love the work that they're doing right now. They're just putting out good stuff. I'm very impressed. Yeah.
Oh, Netflix, if you're listening to this, a whole bunch of people who will watch it. If you met Charlie Davidson and Cookie, and Kayla says, "Don't let them ruin it. Something needs to be done with it. Love, love, love it."
Thank you. You know, it's funny because a lot of people, you just never know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's horrible, and sometimes, like to me, the Hunger Games, as much as I love the books, I thought the movies were better. You know, to me, they were more emotional, and they just really showed more emotion. And the books were just very kind of flat tone, flat line. But I understand why Suzanne Collins did that. It was such a horrible subject, and so I understand why she chose that path. But yeah, you just never know what's going to come of that.
I think The Hunger Games is possibly the best book adaptation I have watched in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
They actually got everything in.
Yeah.
Without stuffing the whole book in. They actually got all the key beats in.
Right.
And
right.
And kids who are terrified of stuff shouldn't go watch it because it's like if I was a kid and I saw Rue, the little kid, like getting killed, I have nightmares.
Yeah. Oh, I loved Rue. She was the doll.
Oh, Chanel has one more question.
Okay.
She says, was it tough to write some of the scenes with Charlie getting hurt at the hands of bad men?
You know, it's really funny. This is going to sound horrible, but again, this is like a paranormal world, so the rules are a little different, and you have to, you know, it's fiction. You got to throw that conflict in there. You got to have the bad stuff along with the good. And I'm actually probably the scene that I'm most proud of ever writing was in Third Grave, and it's the torture scene, you know, and the reason is because I didn't know if I could do it. It was so hard. It was so hard for me to write, and I thought, there's just no way I can't write this. I can't write it. It's horrible. It's horrible, and it's a horrible scene. It is a horrible scene. I felt like there's a bridge scene that comes later. I think that was in Fourth Grave. I don't remember, but that one was even worse. It was like
yeah, that attempted rape scene. And
yes.
When I read that, I was actually like cringing, and I was like, Chanel said as well. Right now, Chanel, you keep echoing my thoughts. She says that was so hard to read. I mean, it was, and it was probably pretty real as well. You know, it's feasible. And did you do a lot of like research before writing that scene, the attempted rape?
You know what, I did do some research, you know, and I had read some firsthand accounts of different things, and I had a friend who was raped, and so I just tried to put myself in that position and to say, because I don't know that there's anything worse, and so for that to happen to her, and that was what she feared the most. You know, she didn't fear there was the violence and the hitting and all that. She feared that the most in that scene, and I felt, to me, that was why it was so real, because I think that that is an absolute violation of everything that we are, and so to put that in, but again, as a fiction writer, the more angst you have, the more horror and just horrible things happen, then the better the payoff whenever, you know, the protagonist wins or whatever. And so, but yes, to answer your question, yes, they were hard to write.
Are you one of those authors who enjoy torturing your characters?
I do. I do. In fact, when I do writing workshops, if I go speak to other writers, that's one of the number one things I say. I'm like, torture your characters, torture them. If you don't torture your characters, there's no emotional payoff. And so, we all like having nice, fun characters and having everybody happy, but that's a boring book. That's a boring book. So I tell other writers, torture your characters mercilessly and then let them win,
Chanel's got so many questions.
Oh, no.
Okay, Chanel, we'll do this one more because we've got a wrap-up question, and we're going to show all of you how to go to our Indiegogo page after this to get the goodies. And Darynda's actually donated a really, really cool goodie, which is Name the Ghost in her next Charlie Davidson book, and we're going to show you how to go get that in a little bit. So the last question from the audience is from Chanel again. And do you think if Reyes wasn't around, that Charlie wouldn't be as strong as she is after these events? Or do you think her support system in Cookie and Ubi would have helped her along just as well as Reyes?
I personally think that she would be just as strong. Yeah. I think she has an incredible support system. Uncle Bob and Cookie and really everyone, they're just, I love writing about them. I love it. And I think she would. I think she'd be just as strong. She's still Charlie, and she just is.
Uncle Bob, every time I read the name Uncle Bob, I keep laughing. I don't know why.
I just thought that was, it's so funny. Even when I just wrote Uncle Bob, I don't know. It's just funny. It's a funny name.
And I actually like Uncle Bob better than Charlie's dad. Uncle Bob's more like a dad than her dad ever was.
Yeah. And that actually came about quite accidentally. Her dad was going to be a big part of her life and supportive and everything. And I don't know, Uncle Bob just kept coming through for her, and he just became more like her father figure. It was weird. And also, I think I was angry with, I know I wrote the story, but sometimes you write stuff and you're looking back. I was angry with him for putting up with Denise and Denise's behavior toward his daughter. That's one of my huge pet peeves. If you're going to get a divorce and you're going to go get remarried and you have kids, that's fine. That's all fine. You deserve to be happy. But if your spouse does not treat your kids like they should deserve to be treated, why? Why would you do that? Why would anybody give up their child's self-esteem to be married to somebody else? It's not worth it. Not worth it. Children come first.
And Chanel says, okay, sorry, LOL. Anyway, we've got the wrap-up question now. Okay. And it's, in your opinion, how can authors like yourself best support efforts to kick off social change to end violence against women?
I think, first of all, doing stuff like this and just getting the word out there and spreading the word, and support, even support financially, if you can give a percentage of whatever book or something. I love it when authors do that. Yeah.
And it's like, we go by Joe Hill, who's so cool.
Yes, he is.
Stories are important in every culture. They are how we make sense of who we are as a culture, who we are as a person, as an individual. And authors are the first line of storytellers out there, because it's books, it's stories, and the messages that are said through those stories are important. Even, but not to be preachy about it. Don't be preachy about it, obviously.
Right. There is that line. And to me, if you get preachy, you're going to lose your reader, And again, just lead by example, just to show people the women that what we're capable of.
And we are people too. We're not just someone's mom or someone's sister or someone's daughter. We are people too, in our own right. And like you said, it's a human right. And nowadays we talk about women's human rights, not just women's rights, but women's human rights.
Right, exactly.
And that's the bit that's been missing missing from a lot of women's lives over the several millennia. That we don't have the same human rights as men, and in some cultures, even now, women are seen as less than human. They're chattel, they're not human, and first step is to get their human rights.
Yes.
Get it activated.
Yes.
So okay, so I'm gonna put myself back on screen, guys, because I'm gonna put that really cool slide that we put together, which has Darynda's picture on it too. Okay. Hi guys, if you haven't seen me, this is me. And here we go. Can you see it, Darynda?
Yes. Yes.
So we have, Darynda has very generously donated a chance to name a ghost in her next Charlie Davidson book, which will probably be 11, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Charlie Davidson 11, and you can name it after the ghost after yourself, after your friend, maybe after your dog. I don't know. but probably not after your enemy, because we don't want to be mean to people.
Probably, yeah.
Any gender, any community, any ethnicity, any background, just, you choose. And to do that, you can go to Indiegogo. So you donate for Geeky Goodies at Indiegogo on our Indiegogo page at is.gd/R4P Indiegogo IWD 2016, and it's case sensitive, so take that down exactly as it is. Or if you only have PayPal, you can go to is.gd/R4P Resume IWD 2016, because Indiegogo only takes credit cards for nonprofit fundraisers. But if you want to pay by PayPal, if you want to donate by PayPal, but you want to the name a ghost perk, you better tell us really soon, because if someone claims a perk on Indiegogo, they get it. So if you want to get it but want to donate by Resume, tell us and we'll take the perk off, and you make your donation, we make the arrangements with Darynda. And if you want to find out more about Read for Pixels, you go to the Read for Pixels campaign, you go to is.gd, Read for Pixels. Again, that's case sensitive, and you'll see what authors are coming next. In fact, next week we have Colleen Hook, Rachel Vincent, and Laurie R. King next week. So if you like any of those authors, join us next week as well. And you can go on Facebook and Twitter, follow us to get links, get news, get updates as well. So I'm going to take this off screen. Cool. And if you want to learn more about violence against women and how you can take steps to stop violence against women, you can go to our website at www.thepixelproject.net. And if you want to learn more about the Pixel Reveal campaign, go to reveal.thepixelproject.net. Now I'm going to switch us back to Darynda so we can all say good night to have a great day to everybody. So Darynda, any last thoughts and any last messages or anything you want to announce to everybody?
Just thank you. Thanks to everybody for coming and support the project, and it's very important.
Yeah. Oh, and don't forget that the 10th Charlie Davidson book is coming out on June 28th, right?
Yes, June 28th.
Can we pre-order it now? Is it already ready for pre-order?
It's ready for pre-order. Yes, you can order.
Okay, guys, go to Amazon and do pre-order. And Chanel says, good night, you're awesome.
Oh, thank you. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
And Chanel, thank you so much. We really loved having you and your questions. All right, guys, so we'll bid you good night now. And stay safe, okay? Stay safe, and if you see anything happening in your neighborhood, just take action. So we bid you all good night from Darynda and I. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.